It is Mosley. Oh, I was gonna just be dramatic, Z, and like bring him in, just off. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I mean, just it was almost a little too abrupt for our audience. Um, Matt Lively, you've known him, you've loved him. All of Central Texas remembers him. There's just some people that have gone on to big, big things like Matt, like Nicole, several others. But Matt has gone. He's basically turned into a major West Coast guy there in Northern California, as he's with CBS Bay Area Sports, and he's been all over this Super Bowl and always considered on some of the best dress lists. In fact, I thought of him last night on NFL Honors when they were doing the best dressed. But without further ado, let's bring him in. Former Waco great, and now CBS Bay Area, Matt Lively. Welcome to the Mosley YouTube experience.
What an introduction. I love to see that you're wearing a shacket, first of all.
Just for you.
I miss you. Seeing you through here, I'm like, man, I wish you were here and we were hanging out at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things I could show you there on Radio Row, and there's some people I would introduce you to. We would have enjoyed that. Part of me wants to be there just to see people like you. A part of me does not want to be there because I've done it a lot of times, and it is a ridiculous scene, and it just starts to buzz. The buzz increases Wednesday, Thursday, and then by Friday, it's reached its full zenith. So, I just want to say how appreciative I am knowing how crazy busy a week it is when you're basically hosting a Super Bowl. So I am very appreciative that you joined us today, and it's got to be fun. Now, how far from all the stuff that's happening, the game's in Santa Clara, all the Super Bowl stuff is happening in San Francisco, in terms of the Radio Row and all of that. How far do you live from all the action of where you've been hanging out Radio Row, and as you've been making your way around and interviewing players? And give us an example. Give us kind of a picture of how everything is set up at the Super Bowl, and how close are you to this?
I'm at Casa de Lively right now. I'm 20 minutes from Radio Row, which I was there this morning. I'm just jumping on city bus, apartment to Radio Row. They got the whole Super Bowl experience in downtown San Francisco. This is all happening in downtown San Francisco.
Okay.
Radio Row, the media center, the Super Bowl experience, all the fun stuff. And then you have to jump in your car, and as if you were driving from Waco to very, very North Austin.
Okay.
That is where Santa Clara lies. So it is not close.
Like Round Rock. Like going to Round Rock. Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to the baseball stadium in Round Rock, essentially from my apartment. But I make that drive 3 times a week when I'm covering the Niners. It's not a big deal. For a Super Bowl, when you compare it to a place like New Orleans, it's not as ideal.
Yeah, I hear you. And but boy, I mean, to be at the epicenter and it would have been not that you're not working hard, but if the Niners had made it, that would have been a little different situation, right? Because then it's more like a beat coverage. Now you can kind of choose your favorite stories, and somebody's from here, or the Seahawks. Obviously, y'all know them really well.
Exactly.
The Patriots are a great story because of the whole Belichick, the Kraft thing, all the stuff that comes with the Patriots. But you can kind of pick and choose, can't you, the stories you want to do a little better when it's not your team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it was the Niners, you're right. It's a full beat. I've been covering the team all year, so it would just be kind of a normal week in terms of I'm doing my normal coverage, but we would have blown out our programming, and we would have had 49ers special shows once, if not twice a day, 30-minute specials. I mean, the whole 9 yards. Like when we did it in Vegas, that was the most hectic, chaotic, fun week of my life. But I do like that I just get to roll into Radio Row, and I'm like, Oh, there's Chris Sims. Like, he'll have a good story about Kyle Shanahan. Or to your credit, Austin Hooper played at Stanford, grew up in the Bay Area. He's playing in the Super Bowl on Sunday. Those things are easier to do. It would have been a different week, but a more maybe enjoyable week too if the Niners were playing in it.
What's the weirdest thing you've seen this week, or like the biggest celebrity you've run into from an acting comedian standpoint, or just a huge, former NFL star? I mean, obviously the Roger Craig story is very big with him going in. We've spent so much time talking about who's not going in. They put a nice class together. It's just that this class will sadly kind of be remembered for who didn't go into it.
Yeah. I mean, the Belichick thing is crazy, but a lot of that goes into how they changed the voting for those senior finalists, which I think is lost on it. Like, I had Niner fans reach out to me and they go, good for Roger Craig, but he stole Frank Gore's spot. I was like, well, actually, they were on completely different ballots. That's a whole nother thing. But to answer your question about celebrities that I've seen, the weirdest things I've seen here, three quick ones. My favorite guy I've seen, Rondé Barber. I grew up a huge Bucks fan, interviewed Rondé. That was a total treat for me. The biggest star I've seen by far, and this might throw you for a loop, Mrs. Martha Stewart. She was just perusing down Radio Row. I'm like on the phone, 3 bodyguards around her, 17 different girls behind her who are like taking notes, about how she's like unbelievable to see Martha Stewart. That is like legit star power. The craziest thing I've seen is I walked into Radio Row yesterday and there's this massive crowd. I'm like, what is happening over there? Robert Irwin, Steve Irwin's son, had a ginormous snake wrapped around Jordan Mailata's neck. And I was like, that's the Super Bowl week. That is everything the Super Bowl week is about right there.
That does sort of encapsulate everything.
Yeah.
I would, if I'd lost my father to what he lost his father to, I think I might get out of the family business. Although I guess, man, if you're known as the crocodile hunter's son, you kind of have to live up to that. Now, 100%. Did you get fairly close to get a look at that? Can I look on your Twitter feed? Did you get some shots of that up there?
Not on there
earlier. Okay,
I saw a snake and I went the other way.
You were too busy talking about the Giants coach who's going to coach the infield.
Ron Washington's
the San Francisco Giants.
Hey man, my job doesn't stop just because the Super Bowl is in town. I got it. It's all encompassing.
Wow, that's a great guy to bring in. And a great Tony Vitello who's trying to do something no one's ever done. That's smart. That's smart to have a grand old baseball man on there with him. And I've spent a lot of time around Wash. That's funny you brought up Frank Gore. Was there a legitimate, did people think he was going to make it? I guess that did not particularly surprise me. Again, Witten was great. He didn't make it.
Right. I'm
very sad about Woody, and you have some Arizona State ties, so you certainly would have some love for Darren Woodson. I mean, that he was a enormous part of the Cowboys dynasty of the 90s, and then when I started covering the team in 2003, he was still there, and he's become a good friend. I hate it that he can't get in, but to your point, some of the voting, the things that they have done is causing a lot of this. It's literally people saying, and some people have been open about this. They're like, well, I didn't vote for Belichick because I thought he'd get in for sure. And I thought I would try to help this other guy get in. And if he didn't miss it by one vote, according to people have put that story out there. But did a guy like Frank Gore, to me, is just someone who he's the opposite of the running back from the Broncos, Terrell Davis, who was unbelievable, but was unbelievable in a short span, kind of like Edgerrin James.
Right.
Gore had the longevity and was really good for a long time, but I don't recall him being the greatest at any point during his time. in the league, whereas Ezrin had a year or two where he was like the best. Davis the same way. What did you think of Gore's chances, and what do you think? Did San Francisco people? So there was, I like you say, a segment of people probably closer to your age that were bothered by Gore not getting in.
Yeah, it's his first year on the ballot. The Frank Gore argument, which is skewed, is that he's third all time in rushing yards. But as you said, also nobody played more games at the running back position than Frank Gore, so he had more cracks at picking up yardage. I mean, there were years where I think he's a top 3, top 5 running back in the NFL during those San Francisco days. But I think, too, when you're talking about Hall of Fame voting, a lot of that is like, what have you done for me lately? In the best years of Frank Gore's career, we're not in that latter half, obviously. He was used as a complimentary back. So I would say, had Frank Gore maybe retired a little bit sooner, the case is tougher because he doesn't have all the yards, but he was coming off better seasons. He played a lot more games because he stayed around. I didn't see him being a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I do think he'll get in eventually.
Do you think Tiffany Haddish, the comedian at the NFL Honors, like should you know how to say Vrabel's name if you're up there presenting? Don't you feel like that's kind of the baseline? Now, I remember Travolta famously got somebody's name. It was the girl, Idina Menzel, I think was her name, and he mangled it, which was very funny. Because I think they had it on the prompter in how to say it from those things screw me up too. Like I'd almost rather just kind of learn it and not look at something, the pronunciation, because then that kind of throws me off more. But Tiffany Haddish, she was trying, she was into it. It's not like she wasn't into it, but to throw that version of Vrabel out there was bad. And then I heard there was a Njigba moment. Somebody struggled there. Yeah,
I mean it's for entertainment purposes, right? So you get the comedians and the funny people to say the names, and sometimes it doesn't pay off. Tiffany Haddish was really, I mean, like 3 times she said Mike Verbal, Mike Verbrell, Mike Variable. It was like, oh God. And then he had to, then he had done the pre-taped, really awkward, thanks for voting me in kind of thing. So it is what it is.
I think you could have also used your skills as a host, because I was really impressed with this list of restaurants. And then you tried to do the without a reservation. Like,
I should have provided my services as a tour guide for this entire weekend and seen how much I could have made.
Yeah, the thing I'm impressed about is that it's not like you've been out there forever, and yet you've kind of gotten out there and gotten the lay of the land. I'm telling you, there are some people I've worked with over the years that would have basically known where the chains are. And the fact that you know all these places. Now, when I was there in San Francisco for that last Super Bowl, I was kind of more interested in the famous live music places, trying to figure out like where those were. And I can't remember. I get my towns mixed up. I want to say there was a place called like the Fillmore or something.
Yeah, great music venue.
And then the coffee houses, because I was at the time, Starbucks had really kind of had a chokehold on America. Fortunately, the independent coffee people have made a comeback in this country, which is really nice to see. But I remember going to this place, almost felt like I was like going to be called a commie or something. But it was like the whole theme was like the sickle and like the old Soviet Union. And it was kind of a cool, interesting coffee shop. But as I sat in there,
frequented this one.
Yeah, you need to look at that, see if it's still there. But it was just kind of an ode to the Gorbachev, the Soviet Union. And again, I felt like because every movie I grew up with was like us taking down the Soviets.
Yeah.
With the top part of that being 1980, Lake Placid. By the way, did you try to apply to CBS? Hey, send me over to the Winter Olympics. I need to go over there. I can see you really enjoying that.
it's such an NBC thing.
That's true. That's true.
I don't see, I'm trying to get them to pay for me now to go to Australia where the Niners are going to play next season. So they're going to Australia and Mexico next year. So save the travel budget on those trips for me.
Do you like working for, well, you can't really say this because people might, see. I was going to say between CBS and NBC, but I'm sure there are good and bad things about each of those. All right.
I'll say this. When I worked in Waco, I worked at an NBC affiliate. So there wasn't a lot, I didn't have any contacts. I work for CBS now, like the CBS company. It's a great experience for me. It passes with flying colors. They're very kind to me. They send me all over the country and travel, always give me super nice accommodations. I'm very thankful to CBS.
Okay. And do you occasionally still check on things in Waco?
Oh, yeah.
Will you catch a Baylor basketball game? I wouldn't suggest it this season, by the way. But I
couldn't believe how bad they were when I caught a glance at Scott Drew on my TV, corner of my eye. So I'm like, I'm going to dial into some Baylor basketball. I could not believe how non-competitive they were.
Yeah, it's not good. And I've kind of, sometimes when you beat, it's like you go through this football season and you're like, we don't want a new coach, had the scandal with the deal. Sadly, that's been unbelievable for my show, Matt, is that all Baylor people, when that was all going on, because I knew a lot of the folks involved, and I was able to kind of talk about the candidates and who was going to be the AD. I never in a million years would have thought a search for an AD would have brought me thousands upon thousands of viewers, but it kind of did, and so I kind of had to navigate all of that. So it's I don't ever root for scandal with Baylor, but what has helped my career, sadly, is Baylor scandals.
Well, you just have to wait about every 3 to 4 years and something new happens for you.
Yeah. And the murdered player in 2003, that's when I ended up getting the Cowboys beat because of my coverage over one of the players on the Baylor team getting murdered.
Can I still tell you the craziest thing that ever happened to me in Waco?
What's that?
I won't name names, but the day Kim Mulkey left, she announces on a Sunday. It was the worst kept secret in town, right?
Yeah.
Gonna leave Sunday. She's gonna address the team. So as any journalist does, I go out there with my camera and I walk right up to Foster Pavilion. And on the side, they had doors that led to the locker rooms. And I knocked on the door. I said, hey, does Kim want to talk? And I was brand new. She doesn't know who I am. I'm knocking on the door. Somebody came and they said, okay, we're going to check with Kim. I'm sure they closed the door. They waited 20 seconds. They opened the door back up and they said, Kim doesn't want to talk. But all right, I did my due diligence. I went knocking. So I sat in my car outside the, Foster Pavilion because I'm going to try to, or Foster, am I saying, is it Foster Pavilion?
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
The old one?
No, the old one's Farrell. The
Farrell Center. Sorry.
The new one's Foster Pavilion. The old one's Farrell. You were at Farrell. All right.
So I'm sitting outside the Farrell Center and all of a sudden a white car is kind of driving around me. And so I'm going to drive to different parts of campus. I'm going to get some sound from fans, try to check back in on Kim. As I'm driving around campus, this white car continues to follow me. Finally get out, go interview some fans, and I have someone screaming at me. You're not to talk to a single student athlete. You stay away from them. It was a high-ranking Baylor official and someone who I'd not ever previously had contact with before. And it was at that moment that I kind of was like, all right, this school will bury bodies. I get it now from everything I've heard about. They will bury it. And he tried to, it was just straight intimidation. And I gave it right back to him. I was like, I have every right to be here. If they want to talk, I'll talk with them. I just want to talk to your head basketball coach. That's all I really want to talk to. And he was screaming at me. And from then on, I was like, damn, this is not a place that, they're going to try to intimidate you.
Well, and I will not defend whoever that was. I could probably have some guesses for you, but I won't guess. But I will say the current Florida AD, Brad Strickland, was the head of Baylor communication when the 2003 story happened. And you know what they did? at that Baylor Law School, they opened a big room at that beautiful new law school, and they knew there were satellite trucks and CNN and that's how I went from covering high schools to suddenly being on with Anderson Cooper, Paula Zahn and Bill Hemmer and all that. And, but Strickland, that was some great PR because like they knew it was a bad story. It was an awful story, but they also knew for whatever reason that summer it became a huge story. Yeah. And so instead of like nobody could talk. Now I had trouble with Bliss and I was hanging out just like you were, going to the coach's office, trying to get in there. I think I saw Tom, the old AD at the time. I think I found him, but I couldn't find Bliss. And then I was with the Dallas Morning News, and they got very angry that that he had talked to, oh gosh, who's the guy that was with CBS and now he's with the NCAA and he's always on camera, but he had covered Bliss at New Mexico. Okay. And Bliss did talk to him when Dennehy was missing. And so I didn't get Bliss. And it was back in the day of, oh my gosh, we got scooped by whatever this guy's name was, and the head guy at the morning news called Bliss and just went off on him to the point where Bliss was like trying to reach me. Okay. I'm ready to talk now. I'm ready to talk. But those were interesting times. But I will say that's why you just can't paint everything with a broad brush. There will be people sometimes that act completely inappropriate in those times. Now, I found Kim's top PR guy. You remember him? He was like 6'7". Yes. I found him to be great. He was. And, yes. And to be very open and to understand that Kim was Kim, but he didn't take on her personality. He did his own thing, and unfortunately, within a few months of her being gone, he had to go find another gig or whatever. I love that dude. In fact, I think he wanted to be in charge of football at the time and would have done an incredible job. Now, Brent Ingram has come on and has done a very, very nice job. Yeah, Brent,
awesome guy.
Yeah, but to your point, yeah, there are going to be people. And by the way, I took on a lot of anger, even though I'm kind of viewed by most of those people as, old Mosley, old Baylor guy. Even when I make them mad, they're going to forgive me pretty quickly. But I took a picture with Kim during the Final Four and didn't even think about it. Because she had been my longtime friend. I had a great relationship with her. But she'd also rubbed it in Baylor's face that she was in the Final Four. And she put up those signs. And I should have probably thought more about it. And I was not doing it to try to do anything. And, oh, Matt, you talk about high up in Baylor. Whoa, I encountered some major blowback. So it happens to even, some people. And that's why I laugh at some people like Mosley's a Baylor guy. He's the Baylor mouthpiece sometimes. I'm like, well, go talk to him. Go talk to those Baylor people and see how much of a mouthpiece they think I am. But I love Baylor. You know that. But at the same time, we have to cover them. And I wish I could. Sometimes I wish I didn't have to. All right. I did want to say this because I've kept you a while. I wanted to get your take on this game a little bit. You've had a good look at Darnold this season.
Yeah. I've seen him 3 times.
The ups and yeah. How many times?
3.
Wow. He's 0-4 against the Patriots. But again, part of that record was when he was with bad teams and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I kind of throw some of that out. He was great in the title game. He's also a guy that if you look at his turnover rate, it's not great. So he's had a really, really nice season, and I want to trust him. But I also know that, they love to blitz. These Patriots do. And this guy can make mistakes. Where are you on your trust level of Darnold and just these 2 quarterbacks going into this game?
I've been waiting since about week 15 for the Darnold shoe to drop. What I mean by that is, okay, at some point he's going to unravel and come apart at the seams, and it's yet to happen. You can actually look at Week 18 when they played the Niners, and it was a 13-3 game. Like, he didn't play that well, but they still won. And I think that's the credit to his defense. Like, he's going into this game with the better defense in my mind. He has the better running back in my mind. He has a loaded wide receiver room, a better special teams with Rashid Shaheed returning kicks. I think the Seahawks have been successful not because of Sam Darnold, but because of the pieces they put around him. Ultimately, that's my pick in this game. I have Seattle winning. I think that Seattle defense is going to suffocate Drake May. He's had 2 games in the playoffs, frankly, where I've not really been impressed. And that's a big stage for this guy to be coming into to play the best defense in the National Football League in your second year in the Super Bowl. So I'm picking Seattle not because of Sam Darnold, but because of all the pieces around him.
Very interesting. The pieces around him. And see, that's why I have a hard time with what you're saying about May, because it's like the weather has been awful. He doesn't have what you're saying. He doesn't have everything around him yet. By one vote, he misses the MVP.
Yeah.
And he had this same group of receivers throughout the season. He had the same group of running backs, and yet he dang near and maybe should have been the MVP. So on a field that hopefully right now we're only seeing 10% chance of rain, you're out there. You probably
It'll be fine.
You're buddies with the forecasters out there, the weather guys at CBS. But I'm having a hard time with this one for some of those things you just said, because it's like on May has had the better season.
Definitely.
And he's done it. He's done it with a lesser crew around him. But boy, you brought up a good one. That Rashid, you hit on 2 or 3 things immediately that were great. One is that defense, the way they are against the run, the way that they play those games at the line of scrimmage, the great DeMarcus Lawrence, that whole group, they really could give May some issues. He has some ball security issues. The thing that could hurt him is that he does run the football. And like the Baylor defense this year just got crushed with the running quarterback. And I would say, if you're saying, what has Drake May done well this postseason? You would say he's run the ball extremely well. So that's one thing I think the Seahawks are going to have to watch for. So you've got the Seahawks winning. Did you, and you may have said it and I kind of missed it, but since we have a lot of people watching that want to put some money down on this game, 4.5 is the line right now. Do you like the Seahawks to cover the 4.5?
23-17 has been my pick.
Okay.
That gets you there.
That does get you there. Okay. That's good. So it sounds like to me you're not ready to say, though, that Darnold is the lockdown, no doubt, MVP of this game.
No, I think it'll be a defensive player.
Okay. And would it be Leonard, DeMarcus? Would it be Eamon Worry? I like that kid. Whoa.
Battling a bit of an injury, but
yeah.
Could be anybody out of the backfield, out of the secondary. I think Drake May has struggled with fumbles. I think somebody on that really talented Seahawks defensive front causes a fumble, maybe a scoop and score, maybe gets the MVP that way.
Okay.
That's kind of that's what I'm looking at.
All right, buddy. Now, what's after the Super Bowl? Will you take a little break? Will you take a little vacation, or are you just kind of are you going to go out to spring training? What's the situation there?
Super Bowl's on Sunday. I hit Pebble Beach on Tuesday. I'll be in Arizona by Saturday for spring training.
Man, what a life.
Nonstop, man. I love it.
What a life. And is that Vitello guy, does he seem kind of fun and cool? It's a fun manager until they start losing games. But what's that guy like?
I'll meet him on Saturday, or I should say Sunday, I guess. But he's supposedly, from what I understand, he's acclimated to San Francisco well. He's embraced the city, and that's all you can really ask for a coach that's gonna be the next manager of the San Francisco Giants.
Just when he's at that first big game, just say, is this a tougher environment? First, when they go on the road, and is this a tougher environment than going up against Mississippi State?
Yeah.
They're not allowed to have cowbells at these.
It's going to be a breeze for him. He's going to love that.
This is like an experiment, right? This is literally like, if this works, this will happen more and more. And unfortunately, I think the Arkansas coach, he's been around too long. I think he's missed his window. I took my cap off just so you could see, because I'm about to go back to the Lively / Mosley, the short hairstyle. But I wanted you to see what was happening.
I like the mane. You look good.
Time. I've just kind of let it roll, but it's time you're going to see our next meeting in person. You'll see a much thinner. I haven't decided if I'm going to get help. I mean, if I've waited, if somebody would bring me a batch of that stuff, like the Ozempic, and drop it off the house, I would totally use it. But I just haven't sought it out. I don't want to pay for it, but I'd love to. I do not. I mean, I really am envious of the people who have success, but I continue.
We're going to get you a gym. I'm just going to get you on a gym regimen, and that'll suffice.
Send me kind of something that just includes very limited upper body and just lots of tennis. Yeah, but send me some kind of workout. I'd appreciate it. Matt, thank you. Have a great rest of the week. Enjoy the game and enjoy Bad Bunny, man.
That's right.
Bad Bunny. He'll make everybody mad across the country. We're gonna have somebody from the US of A. But I'm Bad Bunny. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
It'll be good. All right. Thanks, man. Great to visit.
That'll be the first Bad Bunny I've heard, but I'm supportive. I'm supportive of his work. All right, there he goes. Matt Lively. Thank you, buddy. The CBS Bay Area Sports, good friend, and I've tried to mentor him over the years. Mainly, I put him on the Shacket and some other things. Z's got more. We got more college for you. We'll get you ready. Baylor plays at Iowa State. Women coming off a big win. And I like that other people are stepping up and scoring. Ben Geitenbeek had 19 the other night. So the Baylor women, the Baylor men have big games coming up. And then we'll start to get into our Super Bowl picks. That's all next.